Retro RPGs are just my bread and butter. I absolutely adore them. They remind me of a simpler time and of my childhood, a time when you had to use your imagination in order to get transported into the game world. And For a Vast Future already released over on the PC on Steam, but coming on over to the Nintendo Switch on Friday, tomorrow, is retro in all of the right ways. Obviously greatly influenced by the Super Game Boy and Game Boy Color, you would be forgiven if you thought that this actually was released back on the 90s hardware. Because while some games might look like an NES or an SNES game on the surface, once you begin playing those indies, you quickly say to yourself, wait, games didn't actually play like this back then. But this one's different. Not only are you getting a retro-inspired RPG, they've really made something here that honestly really could have been released back on the original Game Boy or the Game Boy Color. Just like many RPGs released back when, the game is light on story. But what it doesn't tell you through dialogue, it definitely shows you through the gameplay and NPC interactions. You play as a plucky, precocious teenager, Shell, who decides to embark on a cross-country trip to unravel the secrets of the world and the missing generation. You might think that this world, since it's a JRPG, would be bright and colorful and fun, but it's not cheery in the slightest. The world has been ravaged by war, which recently came to a stalemate. As you make your way around, you're going to be finding tanks and crashed airplanes, derelict cars and trucks, and blown out holes in the ground. The whole place is just completely blighted by the war. And with computer technology, laser barriers, and cyborgs roaming around, this actually reminded me a lot of a more futuristic sci-fi RPG than anything resembling swords and sorcery. Maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but I believe that I found a pretty big Earthbound influence. Not in any sort of quirky humor or weirdness, though the weirdness and the humor are still there, but really more so in just the way that the game feels and progresses. It takes place in a more modern-day setting, the encounters all take place on screen, and you explore regions with different paths and treasures all about. But it's not just the world design that reminded me of Earthbound, the battle system really reminded me of it too. Like many RPGs, encounters are action turn-based, similar to the SNES Final Fantasies or Grandia, but there is a definite twist here. As this is a warlike, modern setting, all of your party members use guns, and they don't learn any sort of magical abilities. Instead, to inflict different status ailments or deal elemental damage, you have to use different ammo for your guns. You have your basic bullets, but very quickly you get access to many more, such as piercing bullets, which ignore defense, fire, ice, and lightning bullets, smoke bullets, which can inflict blindness, or other bullets that can stun monsters. You name it, and there's a bullet for it. Then, in another Earthboundy twist, you fight with war gear or items. Remember how fun and interesting it was to use bottle rockets, machines, and bombs with Jeff in Earthbound? Well, just consider all of your party members as Jeff, because powerful items really rule the roost here. Of course, you have your first aid kits and your remedies in your item bag, but you also have tons of attacking items too. You're going to have to use these items to win some of the harder boss battles. You'll be throwing dynamite, grenades, lasers, and bazookas, all sorts of stuff at these robotic fiends that stand in your way. And also, remember how in Super Mario RPG, if you used an item, sometimes you would get like a once again? They use that concept here too, so feel free to use the items pretty liberally. Something that I found rather interesting was that currency doesn't really exist. Instead, after each battle, you'll be picking up some scraps and parts and maybe some basic ammo. The parts, pieces, and scraps you can then turn into war gear items, but the basic ammo can then be transformed into higher grade ammo at certain vending machines, so you're constantly gathering and upgrading your weaponry, but it's all told pretty simple to do. What is lacking in gold though, it does make up for in experience. You'll gain that as well as levels after fights, but more importantly, you'll gain skill points too, which you can spend to upgrade your characters as you see fit. This looks like a really fun time for anybody who grew up on the original Game Boy or just wants to experience a neat, fun, short retro RPG. The combat's lightning fast, and it does have a couple of nice quality of life features, such as auto-saving and dashing, to make it a lot more palatable. And the world's really interesting to explore. This is definitely on the shorter end of RPGs, as you can easily complete it in under 10 hours and probably closer to something like 5. It's really not going to last you a very long time, but it is going to give you a very fun time while it lasts. So that's it for my review of For a Vast Future, available on the PC and Switch May 12th. What did you think about the game? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and want to join the channel, please consider following me over on Twitter, supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos or early access to my content, heading on over to Twitch for streaming fun, or coming on over to my Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them can be found in the video description. This has been David, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.